Hello, everyone. Welcome back to this week's episode of Mocktail Minutes. This is Bailey.
And this is Brianna.
This week, I am drinking Rayvi, I think it's called Pineapple Passion. We were just talking about this. I'm getting all my pineapple in right now to try to go into labor.
Yeah, Bailey is like trying to have a baby, like now.
Yeah.
I always show my cup like an idiot. I'm drinking the Just Ingredients, now the strawberry limeade flavor. And I actually really like it, which I'm surprised because I'm very picky with lime, but I know my kids like lime, so I got it for them, but I wanted to try it for you guys. I actually really like it.
You took one for the team and it worked out.
I took one for the team. It worked out. I added just a little bit of salt into it because I worked out this morning in my very hot garage. And I was like, oh, I need some salt. And the Just Ingredients ones have more potassium.
We are actually starting a little summer series for you guys. We'll do probably like a 3-part series. We're planning on 3 parts, but depending on how this goes, maybe it needs a part 4. We shall see.
Yeah.
But we are going to focus on this will be part 1. So we're going to talk about what to do first for your summer body type of thing. Because, I mean, I don't know about you with what you've heard within M3, our accountability groups, with our one on one clients. This past 2 weeks has been a lot of, I feel off track, I'm out of routine. And what has also happened in the past 2 weeks is kids are getting out of school, or like my teachers are getting off work for summer, and it's like shit hit the fan.
Yeah, everyone's just out of their routine. This is exactly why I say August is like the second New Year's of the year, because it's like everyone gets back into their routine with everyone going back to school. But summertime is hard. People feel out of their routine. They feel like weight loss kind of takes a pause, or they kind of start going in reverse. And so we thought like a little mini series to kind of help you with your summer weight loss would be helpful.
Because we know, I mean, we've talked about it so many times. We do work with weight loss clients. We are totally fine with people wanting to lose weight, not fine with you just wanting to lose weight super quickly so you look good in a bikini type of thing. It's perfectly fine to want to feel confident, want to feel strong, want to change your body composition, because clothes are different in the summer versus in the winter.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about what you can do first in this episode, next episode, and we're purposely splitting them up so that way you actually do these things first. So then the next one, we'll give you like actual, we'll give you action steps today, but we're going to get more specific on what you can do next episode, because we also don't want you diving into like a 75 hard type of mindset. And now you're feeling defeated. Summer goes out the window and you come August and you're like, wow, now I feel like crap and I want to get this in before the holidays. And it's like that never ending cycle.
Yes. And it is a never ending cycle because people go really hard and they're like, oh, I want to make a lot of change really quickly because summer's already here. And then they get overwhelmed and they burn out and they throw in the towel and then you don't do anything. And then 3 months from now, you're like, crap. No, I'm farther behind. We're not doing that.
I mean, it comes January, you want to restart again. It's that cycle. So let's just stop the cycle now, work on pieces, and you're going to have a really great summer.
Yes.
But you feel good, and you're also not going to be overwhelmed and feel like you're missing out on anything.
So that kind of like leads us into what we want to talk about for this one. So it's what to do first for your summer body. Number 1, deciding what you really want. So is it weight loss? Is it maintenance? What is it? And with that, what are you willing to sacrifice? Because you're always going to have to sacrifice something when you're working towards goals. Now, this doesn't mean you have to sacrifice it forever, but if you're wanting to get to a certain place, it might be a season where it's like, we take a break on this. Like I was talking to a client the other day and she was like, I'm going to be really honest with you. I don't want to fully give up alcohol for the summer. This is the time when I kind of like go out to the patio. I have, lunch, I have margaritas, like I'm in the sun, I'm feeling good. We go boating a lot. And she's like giving herself a boundary with alcohol, but she's like, I don't want to cut it out. I think that might be a fall thing. And I'm like, okay, you're not willing to sacrifice all your fun alcohol days. So we know that going forward, we know that.
Yeah, you have to always, we've talked about this a little bit before, that there is always going to be a sacrifice with anything. It's not a bad thing, But once you decide what you really want, because we can want weight loss all the time, we can want these things, but we have to be willing to do the things to get there. We can't just say we want things and will it into the world type of thing. You have
Mhm.
to actually take action steps. That would be like saying I want a new job, but not applying to any new
Yeah.
jobs. Like it's just not going to happen. Decide what you're willing to sacrifice and what goals you really want to commit to. I think is a super big part because, like I said, you can say you want weight loss, and it's not. This is not to like shame anybody to be like, you said you want this, but you're not doing this.
Yeah.
It's just something we don't realize. Like, yeah, I would like to do some things, but like right now, I'm not willing to take the time to put into those to work on my finances type of thing.
Yeah.
Just you have to be willing to make that change to get the change. So
Mhm.
you bring up a good point about alcohol or like desserts, for example, is the common thing we talk about where everyone's immediate thought is with weight loss, I have to cut out desserts. I don't think that is true at all. But to be quite honest, like if you are really serious about your weight loss goals, you're really serious about wanting to build muscle, tone up, then yeah, you probably want to do less dessert. If you're like, no, I'm not ready to give up dessert every night. Cool, that's your choice. But just know it's probably not going to happen as fast as you want. So you have to become really realistic with your goals, with how they're aligning with what action steps that you want to take.
Yeah. And I think this is where, like, and this is why, I had said, is it more of a maintenance phase? Is it something we're
Mm-hmm.
just kind of creating habits phase? Because, I feel like if you can create habits in the summer, you'll probably keep them throughout because summer is hard because it's much more fun. I feel like summer is just inflammatory as it is, right? Like if you can have good habits in the summer, you'll probably keep them. So figure out like, what is it that I really want to establish right now? And then when you look at that, like write it out. I have people write it out. Like, what do you really want? And then what does this mean? Like, like you said, dessert. Does this mean saying no a little bit more to dessert? Not because you're restricting, but because it's not goal supportive. Like, what do I need to do?
Mm-hmm.
What am I willing to sacrifice? I have some who are like, I have a really rigorous routine during the fall and when my kids are in school, and the summer is the first time I get to sleep in, and so I'm not willing to do morning workouts. So I'm like, okay, you're not willing to sacrifice that, like then once
That's your choice. And that's
yeah,
fine.
exactly what once you know what you want to do, once you know what you're willing to sacrifice slash not willing to sacrifice, then you can create a routine and kind of figure out like, okay, how am I going to establish then what it is that I want given my boundaries? How does this fit in? Like you're being intentional about it. You're not just wishing it into existence.
So that brings up our next point that we wanted to bring up as well is creating a routine because whether it's just kids aren't in school, maybe they're at home with you now, and it feels like chaos because there's no routine, or where you're like, okay, now my schedule's changing because their schedule's changing. You can still get up at that time.
Yeah.
Even I think about this on weekends where a lot of times we're like, it's the weekend, I'm going to sleep in. It's actually better for your body to just kind of keep that same routine, get up about the same time every day. And some people are like, well, I don't want to do that. I get up at 6 a.m. every day. Why would I want to do that on Saturday and Sunday? I'm like, cool, that's your choice. But it could honestly, have you ever tried it for like a few weeks?
Easier. It really
It
does
makes it easier,
make.
especially Monday mornings.
And I have a hard time. Like it's a fine line, right? Like I get you want to feel like you have a break, you want to feel like you enjoy your time. But at the same time, if you already have a good habit established, I'm like, why would we not continue that? You know what I mean? Like it's kind of, but to each their own. But yeah, creating your routine, getting serious. Again, it's not a just magic wand. I want this to happen. And so it's going to happen without any habit change. No, you need the habit change. So I really feel like it takes being intentional. This is what I recommend, especially if you're home, you feel out of your routine, you feel very kind of like stressed out, like frazzled. Time block your day and also maybe do a productivity audit. And I feel like these go
Mhm.
hand in hand, because when you're trying to find like, okay, well, where am I going to get in a walk? Where am I going to get in a workout? Where am I going to, get in meal prepping, or I have so much going on. Well, if you time block, you will find that this is much easier. And then you're scheduling it in for yourself, you're getting it done. On the flip side, anyone who's about to be like, I literally have no time for that, I guarantee you do. It's time to get really serious with yourself and do a productivity audit. And this is like just what it sounds like. It's like a line of every hour or 30 minutes. And it's like, what I'm doing. And you were going to find so much. I'm scrolling. I'm sitting in the car waiting for kids to be done with sports. I'm, doing this, like, and it's not to be like, oh, we need to micromanage every second, but it's a really good way to get you to see like, wow, I actually do have times for the things that I want to do. I just need to take some of these things out that's getting in my way.
And you were actually just talking about this before we started recording, where you were like, I needed to meal prep. I need to do all these things because you were just out of your routine because you were doing a travel position job. And now you're not doing that. You're back home. And so it looks different. So now you're just trying to find that routine again.
Yeah.
So routines can change as well, but it's making that commitment to yourself to change it. Like you could have very easily been like, oh, I'm just going to keep going how I've been doing the past few weeks because that was working. But your life is not the same as it has been the past few weeks.
Yeah. And then in my mind, I was like, oh, I'm recording today and I do have some client calls after this. I have an M3 call tonight. I need to take a shower. I need to do my hair. I need to do all that. Then I was like, but if I do that, then I'm not going to be working out. I'm not going to be meal prepping. And I know I need to do that to stay on track, because tomorrow I go work in the office and I need to have a lunch when I go. And right now I do not, because my husband's been in charge of the house. And it's a bit crazy. It's, the way they survive is a little bit different than how I survive. So it's like, okay, let me put aside this thing that I thought I needed to do and let me make time for the things I really want to do, because that's goal supportive. That's going to set me up for the rest of the week. Yeah, like having that accountability with yourself. Like, what is it that I said I wanted to do? I said I wanted to get serious about this.
Hold yourself a little bit accountable for your goals and your action steps to meet those goals.
Yeah. And then I think these next two things, our last two things, they really go hand in hand. So I would say, whatever goals that you set, start acting like you're someone who does those things, right? If you have set a goal to like, I want to work out 2 to 3 times a week, well, start thinking of yourself as someone who works out 2 to 3 times a week. Because when you really start thinking about yourself as a person who does these things, you're going to do it. I don't know if that makes sense. I just got done re-listening to Atomic Habits. And that's one of the things that he says. Like, a lot of times we kind of separate the habit from ourself instead of thinking of like, this is our identity. I am someone who walks every day. I am someone who meal preps. I'm someone who takes my sleep seriously, as opposed to, okay, I want to start sleeping better.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you're someone who's like, I can't stop eating sweets. I don't like to cook. It's hard for me to put meals together. Yeah. Your identity is everything is hard. Everything is working against you.
Yeah.
When you switch that identity to be like, you know what? I can make meals really easily. And that's kind of one thing as a dietitian. I feel like everyone assumes we're like chefs. Like, no. I was like, I hate cooking. So I totally relate to so many of you because I don't enjoy cooking. So I make it super easy. I want it to be easy on me. I want it to be easy on Josh because honestly, he cooks dinner most nights. I am home later. So he's always getting dinner ready. So he's actually a better cook than I am. And even if you're someone who's like, I'm not a good cook, I just kind of said that. But if that is your identity, then obviously it's going to hold you back from putting a meal together.
Like, you don't have to be this gourmet chef, but I think that is another good, I think that one specific is really important to spend some time on, because we have to eat every day. And whether you realize it or not, it is impacting your health goals, your weight loss goals, whatever goals you have. It's also impacting your stress. It is very stressful 3 times a day to be like, what the heck am I eating? And like having that stress around mealtime. I work with a lot of clients that get into like this vicious cycle of like, I just don't ever know what's happening for mealtime. I never know. And then it's like they're stressed out 3 times a day when it's like, well, we can decrease that stress a lot by just doing some bare minimums and really taking care of one of your very basic needs. You don't have to be a gourmet chef, but you do have to put a little bit of work in. It'll be palatable. You'll be able to do it. But
Yes.
with that is like, the last thing would be normalizing the habits that you're working on. So sometimes I don't know if it's like we feel weird about it or we feel like we need to prove ourselves to people, but it's almost like we don't take ourselves seriously. It's like you come up with this goal, you want to lose weight, and maybe something that you have set is like, I'm going to increase veggies or I'm going to increase fiber, and you're trying to work on this habit. And then you get to a cookout and it's like, oh yeah, I'm just like trying to eat my vegetables. Like, I don't know. It's like you make it weird. And then everybody wants to comment on what you're eating on. Like, oh, is it because you're losing weight? Like, I don't know why the hell we even need to share it with people. I'm going to eat the veggies at the cookout. I'm making it normal. This is what I want to do. You know?
Yeah, just make it normal. I feel like maybe with just how the typical dieting approach is, or like the typical weight loss approach, it is naturally an isolating type experience.
Yeah.
So then it feels like automatically like, oh, I have to bring my own food to a cookout. I'm like, you don't have to do that. And I was talking to someone about this like for Memorial Weekend. You don't have to just bring your own veggies for yourself. Like bring a whole veggie tray for everyone. Cool, now everyone gets their fiber, everyone's good. So normalize it because eating veggies is completely normal. I honestly really like the TikToks that have been going around. I haven't seen them as often lately, but I was seeing a couple go around kind of surrounding like kids where they talk about I get so much hate for having my kid in the gym or having them eat protein or fruits or vegetables or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But if you feed them a fruit snack, no one bats an eye. And like it is kind of weird to think about those things because eating fruits and vegetables should be normal.
I really think we just as a society, we swing on this like very dramatic pendulum. Like I feel like everyone's
Mm-hmm.
recovering from like the almond moms. Okay. But then it's like now we swing to the whole other way where it's like we don't teach kids at all how to eat food and we're just like whatever they want.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, like we can be somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, just find some balance with it all. Like don't go from one end to the other. And I mean, I don't have a child quite yet, but I mean, I do plan to talk to him about like, hey, yeah, we're gonna eat some chicken with our dinner because blah 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 blah. We're
Yeah.
gonna eat some eggs with our cereal because you're gonna feel so much better. You're not gonna be angry at me in 30 minutes type of thing.
Yeah.
So I want to like give him the knowledge and be like, hey buddy, this is why we're doing it. But I'm also not gonna be a weirdo and be like, here, get your protein shake 3 times a day.
We're going to normalize it that way. When our kids are like at a cookout, they just naturally put some
They
veggies
just eat
on their
fruits and
plate
vegetables.
with whatever else, and they're probably going to have dessert and they're just going to eat like a normal person without stressing out. So that's what you need to do. Normalize your habits. I would say this is probably good for part 1 of
Yeah.
the weight loss series. What to do first with your summer bod, decide what
Yes.
you want. What are you willing to sacrifice? Create a routine, time block your day, get accountable to yourself, maybe a productivity audit, normalize your habits, and start acting like you are someone who wants to do these things. This is you. You are now someone who cares about XYZ.
Yes. This is your step 1. And tune in next week for your part 2 of more specific action steps you can take after you get your head right after this episode.
Yeah, get your head right, mull it over for about a week, do the things we said, and then you'll be ready for some action steps. It'll be good. This is good.
All right, everyone. We'll see you for part 2. Have a great rest of your week.
Bye.
Bye.